Hey guys, welcome to the DB podcast, Decibel Wines podcast. I haven't done intros before, but I'm going to start doing them now just to talk about a few things and sort of, I find it more comfortable to just get right into the conversation with the people rather than do my little spiel. But I also thought it was fitting because in the past week, there was a really great article that came out about New Zealand Pinots, and lo and behold, Decibel Wines. Our Martinborough Pinot is featured there with some really great company with Dry River, Escarpment, and Atarangi. A few of my favorite Pinots, and really some of the reasons why I moved to Hawke's Bay and New Zealand in 2008. And, it was probably around 06, 07 when I started discovering those wines. So to be included in that company was just a great honor and a surprise, and it was really funny and cool. And I hope I think the article just came out last week, and I know if people have sent me pictures of it, of the hard copy. I haven't seen it myself, but it's pretty cool. And just one and hopefully a lot of steps in the right direction for Decibel Wines, and a little bit of validation for not just me, but a lot of the people I work with and people that are believing in what we're doing, and why I came all the way to the other side of the planet to make wines. So, tonight I'm just recording this and sending it off to my buddy to add a few little bits and pieces to. So you will probably hear some music from Tommy Connors in the mix here in between segments. And I'm just sitting here in a real cold house in Hawke's Bay. It's middle of winter here, and it's been a cold one. So I'm sipping some warm tea by the computer, got the fire going. And just wanted to talk about, we got an upcoming trip in September where I'm going to visit Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, Michigan for the first time, so that's pretty exciting. We're going to do an event in California, which I hope to talk about again before when I have some more details, but it's going to be with Chef Gary Paneer in Napa. Should be fun. Hopefully some other winemakers involved. So just check out decibelwines.com for all that information, and the Facebook page for Decibel Wines, which, we post up a lot. And obviously I'm on Twitter at DecibelDan, and I usually post updates, photos, all that kind of stuff there. Have some fun, and it's been cool to keep in touch with people. That really Facebook and Twitter sort of blew up right after I moved to New Zealand, so it's been a real fun vehicle to get the word back to the States, where a lot of people enjoy the wine and where I'm from, obviously. So, the other thing is we're going to be launching a new website soon. I hope this will be the first episode on that website, which is dbpodcast.org. We'll have updates up there and some more music, and we hope to expand the podcast a little bit more in the coming year. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, so I'm going to bring my microphone and laptop with me, and it should be pretty fun to do. Tom's going to be working on some music to add in, a little production, going to make it sound a little more professional, and it's coming along. I've believe it or not, up to 30 episodes with this now, and it's taken a while to get here, but I think the important thing is that we keep plugging away with it, and we're finding our audience, and we're trying to post it in different places and let you guys see it and hear it. And I think it's a great episode to start with because Jules' story, not unlike mine, is that we work for other producers and we try to produce our own wines on the side. And Jules' story is really, really interesting. Grew up Hawke's Bay girl, moved away, doing vintages overseas, and you see different points of the stories. I've known her for a long time, and I have the highest respect for her. I've seen her in action. She's the real deal. Not only is she, a sweetheart of a person, but I've seen her in action in the winery, and she knows her stuff. And not only that, her wines, she's really doing it, man. She's gotten some 95 pointers with Robert Parker, and our wines are just getting great reviews and well deserved. They're just badass wines, and it's just been really fun to watch her develop and get these wines out there. And I've known her for a long time, but this interview was interesting. There was a lot I didn't know, and it's been really cool. So I think you'll enjoy the interview. And once again, check out dbpodcast.org. You may be listening to that on it already, or you might be up on iTunes. I hope to get it up on YouTube a little bit more, and possibly Stitcher and some other places. Also, check out decimalwines.com for upcoming, I guess, tour dates is what we call it, and some new releases of wines. I hope to be getting a Viognier out there very soon. And so this is my interview with Jullianne Brogden, winemaker for Collaboration Wines. Enjoy. That's the beep that tells us it's time to start talking.
That's a good start.
Yeah. So thanks for having me over your new home, right? Fairly new.
Yeah, fairly new. We brought it, would have been October, November last year.
It's a big step. Domesticating after many years of traveling around the world, right, and back and forth. But you've been in New Zealand now settled here for...
Yeah, came back in 2008 from the States.
Same year I came here.
Oh, was it?
Look at that.
There we go. Something in common, Dan.
Well, that kind of makes sense because I've heard you refer to your time in the States, and then you just told me how old you were, and I was thinking, well, you squeezed in a lot in a short amount of time. But weren't you somebody did you kind of come like out of high school and go right into wine, or college and or uni and right into wine? Sorry, I forget I'm in New Zealand. I got to say uni.
You got to get the terminology right there.
Sorry.
Straight out of high school. Yeah, I was 17.
And you just I'm just want to do wine. I love wine.
No, I had no clue really. It was more of a horticulture, probably my interest, horticulture and science, and I thought the lab coat didn't appeal to me.
Mm.
So I thought, to be honest, I came across the, came across the course really, and basically
at EIT,
from there,
is that
yeah, EIT, Bachelor of Wine Science, and basically thought it sounded interesting, and thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, that is miles away from what I would, or probably anybody I grew up with. Not to say they wouldn't have gone into sciences, but because I have plenty of friends who've done that, but it just seems so foreign to me to think, because where I grew up is not like a wine producing area either, so it probably wasn't an option, but I think that's pretty cool. And after being to EIT and seeing some 18-year-olds come in, and then within like 6 months they're like, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
I was pretty much the first 2 years, it was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I really had no clue I grew up in a family that was kind of an English background, and, culinary, sort of the food and the wine wasn't really something you grew up on.
Yeah, you're English, or I'm not you, but
yeah. So,
I'm with an Italian, so I know that sometimes we're like, why do they do that with the food?
Yeah, you boil it to buggery.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So it's sort of stumbled across it. Oh, I think my mum too had sort of, over the years, she'd done a lot of pruning in vineyards, so she always sort of thought, I think you'd enjoy that. And yeah, I guess that was kind of a slight push there.
And you're Hawke's Bay, Hastings?
Yep, Hawke's Bay, born and bred.
Yeah.
Yep, grew up here, studied here, and
But then you went away for a while.
Yeah.
Like all Kiwis do. You gotta leave and come back, and some don't come back. And it was not long after you finished there that you went over to America or to Europe?
Yeah, pretty much. Finished the degree. That was in in 2000. Start of 2000. I did a couple of vintages here in Hawke's Bay, one at Vitals, and where I think just about everyone's been through Vitals.
Yeah. You got to do your stint there.
Yeah, and I then went on to California.
What part of
Napa
California?
Valley. Napa Valley. Yeah. I was pretty lucky. I ended up with a very cool family-owned winery, Havens Wine Cellars, Michael Havens and Catherine Havens, and really a lot of fond memories sort of working for them. Small family producer, and they had a Kiwi winemaker as assistant, and
what's amazing there is you can do it there in a sense that, I'm assuming they sold some more expensive wines, and
exactly.
they had a range, so it kind of the formula works for a small winery, which can be pretty tough to do if you're producing Sauvignon Blanc and anywhere in New Zealand or something. You almost have to. The formula doesn't work unless you have some at least $40-$50 bottles. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's really tough otherwise.
Yeah, they've definitely got the population and really the money over there to. It's a different ball game to what it is here in New Zealand, and
we got to export and compete, and and people don't necessarily, and why would they say, well, I'm going to pay all this money for? Or there's a small population of Kiwis that would pay $100 or $50 or even $50 for a bottle of wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's just not that many people here. So particularly Hawke's Bay. What's our closest city? Is Wellington. Is a long way away.
Yep, 3-hour drive. So population's
that's
not
all right.
quite here.
Jetstar's coming to Hawke's Bay Airport, and the whole economy will change overnight.
Go booming. Yep, and we'll amalgamate.
Yes. Yeah.
Hastings and Napier together. That'll be good.
So you're in Napa.
Yeah.
And you live with them, family too. You weren't they didn't put you off in a shack by yourself or something, or?
Actually, well. Yeah,
I remember you telling me some story about a mouse running across your.
I lived in a trailer up in the middle of a canyon.
That sounds beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was called Soda Canyon.
Oh yeah, I know Soda Canyon.
Soda Canyon,
sure.
Right up the top there, and it really was a trailer.
It gets a bit warm up there, doesn't it?
It's pretty hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sort of heat just sits up there and doesn't seem to move. And my trailer certainly didn't have very good air conditioning, so yeah.
Didn't have air conditioning.
No.
But there was some. But it will cool down at night for you there. No.
Yeah. Especially over winter.
Not for the coyotes to come around looking for you, or.
Not quite, actually. I had a frog that lived in the toilet. I had to throw that out every time I went to the toilet. But fortunately, I had a window to the side, so it sort of managed to get the toilet. Toilet cleaner, and you could kind of flick it out the window.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah.
Oh, what kind of wines did they make?
The trailer or the frog?
No, what kind of wines did they make?
Oh, at
Haven?
Havens. Yeah, they were very well known for Merlot actually at the time, and Syrah, definitely Merlot and Syrah, and
that's their last name too. That's one thing I'm like, what a good last name to have to put on a bottle of wine.
With
Havens.
Yeah, it's Havens.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
And they were actually Michael Havens was the first to bring Albarino into the States.
I got a buddy making some of that now in Napa.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure where he gets the fruit from, but
okay.
If you're out there, John Keys, hello, buddy. One day we'll do a podcast. And what? So then, did you stay, or you came back, or you stayed year round, or?
No, so I did the vintage there in 2000, and then I wanted to stay, but I couldn't. I had no way. The company couldn't keep me on, and I had no way of staying long term. So I came back again and did another vintage at Morton Estate in Hawke's Bay. Mm-hmm. And that was a pretty short vintage because that year we got really badly frosted in Hawke's Bay. In fact, I think majority of most vineyards, we were 70% down. So
was that 2001?
Yeah, it would have been 2001, sorry. Yeah. And then ended up going back to the same winery again, back to Havens. They said, come on back for vintage, and they said, we'll try and keep you on a bit longer. And
cool.
Yeah, and I love working for them. So.
And when you lived in Napa, you were kind of So how old were you then? Were you like 21 yet?
I'd just come on 21, yeah.
So you were going out and having a good time a little bit once in a while?
Yeah, starting to meet the locals. And it was tough, though, I have to say. Definitely there weren't a lot of younger ones working in the industry.
Yeah, I think that's something that's evolved a bit more recently.
Towards the end there, it was starting to improve, but
it was kind of
it's pretty challenging.
It's also the whole area has kind of changed. Like even like downtown Napa is like a lot more fun, and even just local younger people hang out in downtown Napa, and there's like kind of bars, and you can go down and meet people. Where I don't think it was like that not that long ago. From my friends who are locals there tell me that, and they're like, "No, it's really cool now," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what it was like before."
Yeah.
But,
I would agree.
Yeah, so it was just kind of this touristy wine region with, people with money and kind of expensive restaurants and stuff. Where Napa itself is pretty working class. Like, it's good now that there's
a bit of a scene going on.
Go out drinking with some real people. Not the millionaires swaying from vineyard to vineyard in their limousines.
Yeah.
And so then back and forth again after that?
So I did the vintage there, and then I decided to try and stay. I knew I wanted to stay for a bit longer, and the Havens didn't have any full-time job for me, so I basically advertised myself in the local mag.
That doesn't sound good, Julie.
Not quite
Might not
in that
be the way you want to
Dan.
say it, all right? I mean...
It's classic.
Yeah,
not quite in that manner.
Okay.
But I was
just
like,
be clear.
hey.
Just be clear about
I was
this.
hey,
All
Kiwi
right.
girl, and I've got a degree, and as you get the point.
I get worried about you, a young girl, and getting taken advantage of in America. It's a big world out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got a job, apparently.
Yeah, I did. I got up in Calistoga, I got the enologist position for Clopergas Winery.
Ooh.
Which was, that was pretty exciting to have got that. An Australian winemaker, and then, it was great. Really good. 600-ton winery.
Good size.
Yeah, it was nice. They had all their own vineyards up in Calistoga. And
the sleeping goats up there, isn't that like one of the things up there? Some of the goats that pass out up in Calistoga? No?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure on that.
Okay, all right.
Haven't heard that
Somebody
one.
can write in and
something
tell us
like
about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll confirm that at some point.
Yeah. So vineyards there, and up and back in Carneros as well. So it was quite good to see the sort of the fruit.
What were you making there?
So we were doing, it was all the Bordeaux varietals, and as well as Syrah, and we did quite a fair amount of Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, actually. That came from Carneros, which was sort of
Pays the bills.
Yeah, paid the bills, yeah.
No, that's good. Well, it sounds like so far you're kind of right in line with what making Hawke's Bay. I know Hawke's Bay makes a lot of different things, but you're talking Bordeaux, Chardonnays,
yeah, very
bit
much
of Savvy, Syrah.
Yep.
And you stayed there for a couple years or a year? Or?
Yeah, I was with Clopergas for about 3.5 years.
Ah, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a good solid, a few years stunt.
They let you stay in America, the government.
Yeah.
You got your visa and all that?
That was all just before 9/11 hit. I was pretty lucky. I was one of the luckies, sort of.
That I got to not be in New York.
Yeah, that too. I was in the trailer, so I was safe.
So you're local by then, 3.5 years, or that's probably your 4th, 5th, 6th year you're there, kind of.
Yep.
Enjoying it, and decide time for something new.
Yeah, it was. I really started to sort of try and dig down and sort of think about what I wanted to do long term, and I guess where my passion lies. And I think I was more sort of interested in the smaller, real premium batch winemaking, and I wanted to see what the smaller producers were doing. So I applied for quite a number of jobs. I have to say, I put my resume out again, and then I found a position with a family-owned winery that was in Napa on Big Ranch Road for a place called Lewis Cellars. And I actually took a back step. I went in as a cellar hand and took a pay cut, and it's quite interesting because I went in for the interview and they said, to be honest, they said, you haven't worked at one of the cult producers before and you don't have a background, so usually someone like you wouldn't even have a shoe on the door. And I was like, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It was a bit like that, and I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So anyway, kind of got on, did the job, and loved it. You had a really cool time and just really good people, and learnt a heck of a lot about, just quality, attention to detail winemaking. That's probably where it really started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that's when it's like, I'm doing the right thing and this is what I want to do.
And you're, what, mid-20s, late 20s by then?
Yeah, I was probably 26 then,
yeah,
26, 27. Yeah.
Still a kid, though,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I was young.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell I was doing at that age. Probably managing a band, running around the country. But I mean, yeah, certainly driven and doing stuff, but probably had no clue. Anyway, it's an interesting age that, because you're still really young and everything's ahead of you, but you start sensing like, what the hell do I really want to do?
Correct. Yeah. It's like, did I want to stay in Napa? Did I want to travel again? Did I want to come home? And
well, it's tough to. I mean, I've done a couple harvests in Napa. It's tough to leave. There's so much business there and so much great wine, and it's kind of exciting year round as far as that goes. Like you see the dollars in front of you, you see the great wines. There's plenty of people that are passionate around there, but
there's so many job opportunities, and it's forever changing, and just really cool people, and everyone's so passionate about food in there, and food and wine, and just enjoying life, and I think also just the restaurant. Oh my God, I ate my way up and down the valley.
Yeah.
I mean, the food is just blows your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah. Even just like getting all that great Mexican food, which you probably had to.
Love the Mexican food. Yeah.
Yeah, on an everyday basis. Getting a nice burrito or something to get you going every day.
Yeah.
And then what happened next?
Well, I stayed into the vintage, and I had a really great time, and then I sort of started getting, I think, itchy feet again, and decided I wanted to see something else and do a bit of travelling.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting a job down in Margaret River, Western Australia, just an assistant winemaker vintage position at a place called Naturalist Vintners. And
was that like a co-op
custom
kind?
crush? Yeah, a lot of small producers under one roof, and it was amazing. Really good experience. And the guy who was running it there used to be the winemaker for Francis Ford Coppola, Bruce Stokes, and he was a real research scientist as well. And I learnt so much there. He had a real wealth of experience, and and they were making some really great labels.
Cool.
Yeah.
What kind of, and I don't know that much. I know Western Australia can have some really hot areas and some really inland cooler areas. So you guys were doing a range of things there, or?
Yeah, we were, but I mean, pretty much the same again. A bit of the Bordeaux, Syrah.
Shiraz.
Yeah.
Lots of Shiraz.
Lots of Sauvignon Blanc, and it's on the tip of my tongue. Semillon,
yeah.
Of course. Yeah, loads of Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc.
And they do like sticky Semillons and stuff there too,
Yeah.
So that's kind of all over, because I've heard of that like in Hunter and stuff like that, but Western Australia is big on that too.
Yeah.
Because, we're talking about some Semillon again at Paratua. This is a kind of an interesting
It's an interesting variety.
It's kind of adds an interesting element. It suits Hawke's Bay too.
Yeah, it's something I've always thought about doing here as a Sav 7 blend.
Yeah.
But,
adds a little bit of a, point of difference between
other producers.
Marlborough as well, and then within Hawke's Bay, because we can do it, and obviously people like Tomato have been doing it mixed in there. They do Semillon Sauvignon Gris in that Cape Crest, right? I think so.
I'm actually not sure on that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
I think so. I think they've always done
I know
that.
Alpha Domus used to do one.
They still do, and they
Alluvial?
possibly. Well, we used to have some at Paratua, but we ripped it out.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But now we're thinking about putting it back in. So we'll
Things
see.
you do.
But yeah, so I have drank okay amount. I know, roughly regions of Australia, but it's not something. Yeah, I think when I got to New Zealand, I was so, I tried to take in some Australian stuff, but I was just trying to learn so much about New Zealand wine and the regions and the nuances and all that I probably had more Australian wine in America than I have had here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same like with any other imported wine into New Zealand. There's a small.
Yeah, there's a small portion.
Yeah, it's which is fine. We should support locally, but it's good to taste that stuff. Which.
Yeah, I think that's what I missed about Napa actually.
Yeah, it's very I was surprised when I got there that how much great appreciation there was for great Italian wines and French wines.
Oh, absolutely.
And Australia, and they were so interested in New Zealand and what's going on. And I'd always try to put on tastings and stuff for people, which now we're trying to do with our little group, which has been fun to do, and I think it's something that we got to keep doing, and we got to get organized with our next one. And we're talking about Portugal next, but we'll see. That could be a challenge after a bit of research.
Well, yeah, Pierre says he's struggling to find some wines for the lineup.
But no, I mean, that's not to skip ahead, but I think that's one of the cool things now about there's a bit of a scene emerging. I think we're doing. I just heard today, by the way, another wine writer moving back to Hawke's Bay, Rebecca Gibbs moving here. Okay. So, we have Yvonne moved back and Rebecca. And I think, with some of the media that's come through in the last few years and traveling from overseas, that they see the, not even potential, they see it's happening here. Yeah. And so it's kind of up to us to take the reins and really show what else can be done and what we're doing already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, so anyway, you're in Western Australia.
Yeah.
It's hot.
It is hot. Yeah.
Really hot.
Yeah. There were some days that it got pretty hot. Yeah.
Like 40.
About 40, 42, 43.
So that's for Americans out there. That's 104.
404 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's hot.
It's actually hotter than California.
Yeah, it would be. That's hotter than California. And it cooled down at night as much as Napa would?
No, it didn't. It stayed hot.
It just stayed hot.
Yeah, so it was, a little bit uncomfortable, but yeah.
And winemaking, well, we can say this because you work for a co-op and you're not giving away anything, but I've worked for, well, is there a formula like there sometimes is in California with, you're going to have to add acid and with, because things just get so ripe, they're not flavor ripe before they're bricks ripe and things like that? No,
it wasn't like that. It was cooler too. The year I was there, it was sort of I can't remember actually. I'm sort of thinking back. I think did we hit a shocking year? God, it's a while ago. I'm trying to think.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
We'll have to look at it.
We might have to bypass chart on that one. I'm trying to think. It will start to become a blur once you do those vintages.
But it was just a vintage there and then onward and off, back up north, back up Northern Hemisphere.
Well, I got offered a job back at Lewis as the assistant winemaker. So that was, I sort of hummed and hard because I had the idea I was going to go straight to Europe.
Yeah.
And do a vintage over there and start working in Europe. And then I thought, why not? We'll give it a go, just see how it pans out. And hopped on a plane. They pretty much wanted me straight back. So straight after vintage, back into it. So it was sort of the third, back to back. Yeah.
It's a bit crazy what we do when you start doing those vintages and piling them up.
Yeah.
It's... I think you got to do it to an extent, but then like you said, you don't even remember what happened in Western Australia or what kind of
it's a bit of a blur.
Because you
parts
never,
of it I do, but
because you never tasted those wines again. We're kind of hired
Yeah.
mercenaries coming in and
Exactly.
And we're doing down.
I mean, I'm a sleeper. I love my sleep, so I was starting at 3:00 in the morning, which that was just threw me out. 3:00 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. It was the weirdest shift.
Why would they do that?
I think it just...
did the picks come in first thing in the morning?
Yeah, they were doing really early morning picks, nice and cool.
So they're cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. But you could still do that without having people start at 3.
Yeah, I think it actually wrecked me a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Getting up at 2 to go to work.
Yeah.
It's one thing getting up. Yeah, I don't know. Getting up and doing the night shift is one thing, but you can kind of get used to that after a while, But
yeah, it was kind of odd.
That's a weird one. So how long did you stay at Lewis when you went back again?
Well, we had a bit of a glitch in the... I planned on staying for quite a bit longer, for a couple of years or so, but...
didn't work out that way.
It didn't quite work out that way, Dan.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to push and pry, and that's not what this is about.
No.
This isn't like, let's open up everything.
No, don't worry. I didn't get fired, but let's just say 3 vintages back to back, and...
It was time for a change.
Yeah.
People change. That's one thing I've learned, is that it's not that big of a deal. Everybody gets over it. Sometimes you got to change jobs. You do the best you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to move on, and...
Yeah.
That's what happens sometimes.
Exactly.
Things change. That's the only constant. That's right. For the old cliche. But so things changed and you moved on.
Things changed abruptly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I 3 vintages back to back. I didn't think it was possible, but it burnt me to the ground. So it was pretty much on a flight home, and I had to take a year off and just recuperate and refresh. Yeah.
Fair enough. I did same thing, 4 in a row, and was just like, I'm not doing that. And I was older too, and I had done all this other time on the road, and I know what the road can do.
Yeah. And I think you keep pushing to the next one and keep going, you're vintage after vintage, and you're almost running on an adrenaline high.
Yeah. Because
you love it, and you love the job, and you work the hours, and you lug those hoses around, and you do the hard work and that, and
you see the fruit coming in, and it's exciting, and you can do it again, but at some point... Yeah,
the body's like, no.
Also, like, there is life to be lived.
That's the other thing.
And it's good to do for a little bit, but then the one thing, it's not bad to watch a wine go through through the year, too,
exactly.
And you get to taste it in barrel, and 6 months later and 8 months later and watch it evolve. You can learn so much more.
Yeah.
And instead of just like, I helped make that wine and
see you later.
Yeah, see you later. That's it.
Send me some bottles in a few years.
Yeah. What'd you guys do to it? Because it doesn't taste anything like it did when it came in. Really? What happened?
Yeah.
And what'd you do in your year off? I mean, this is where it gets interesting. Nothing? Or?
Like literally, slept for about the first few months.
Yeah.
And then, it was a pretty bad, let's just say it was a pretty serious bad burnout. So, we kind of went off the idea of winemaking for quite a period there, and I just I played the guitar, got back to playing the guitar, so that was cool. And, got back to basics, took up yoga.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So that was cool, and then I eventually, early 2008, I decided, okay, I'm actually starting to feel like I could get back into it, and You're
a human person again?
Yes, I'm back to normal.
You're not an alien?
Yeah,
just like... What tank are we using again?
Yeah, exactly. So I gave I shouldn't say old Kate, Kate Radburn.
She's somebody I want to talk to at some point.
Yeah, you need to.
Because she's got some... Yeah. I feel like her and Helen Masters down at Tarangi I've both talked to about sitting down, and they're both like just so busy, and they're like, yeah, sure, like they want to do it. Oh, okay, and then it just never works out. But part of that's me. I think hopefully... this is the first of a lot more in a chain to come.
Yeah, it has to be done, Dan.
Yeah. We got to tell these stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody's out there listening. I'm pretty sure. And then you went to legendary producer at the time still, C.J. Pask.
Correct.
Now just Pask.
Now just Pask, yes. Well, I actually started with them when I was a student in 97 to 99. So I was sort of working in the tasting room back then.
Yeah. And was the same spot it is now?
Yep, same spot.
Yeah.
And I was doing a bit of lab work there back then and cellar work. So I went back there. Kate took me on for vintage and really just finding my feet. And then, so worked vintage, and then I headed out to the vineyard for about a year and a half or so, which I really enjoyed. It was sort of just a bit more, I wouldn't say chilled out, but it's a bit more, time out and a bit more relaxing. And
yeah, it's,
you know what I mean?
Fresh air, open air. You
Yeah.
know, it's definitely, the pressure's on and you try to get done everything you can, but you're working with daylight, you're working with, you know, the season, and you're doing what you can. And I don't miss it on the last month, walking around Hawke's Bay and seeing ice on the vines and stuff like that. I don't miss
Definitely not during the winter. It's, oh my God, it's freezing.
But, no, there's something a bit, I think, contagious about those end of the days in the vineyard, and you're walking back at the end of a row, or you're driving the ute or the quad, and your sunset, and you're like, I put in a hard day's work, and you just want to go home and have a beer, and you're like, life is good, you know.
Yeah, totally.
I did something today.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the few jobs out there where, you know, probably not, you don't get paid much to do it. You know what I mean?
Don't. No.
But it's definitely, you just have to, but once again, I don't know about you, but after doing it for a while too, you almost have to snap out of it and be like, all right, well, I'm not making any money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really hard. My back's going to fall off and if I keep doing this.
Although I can't say going into the wineries, right?
Yeah, not for
it's
your
just
back.
the same either, too. Same too.
Yeah, I guess I guess I look around, and if you did want to move up, certainly I look around New Zealand. If you want to move up in the industry pretty quick, you could do on the vineyard side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's, especially if you have
there's more job opportunities.
Yeah, if you have a passion for wine, and because a lot of the guys in that are kind of farmers, or maybe they're just beer drinkers, and they're just kind of tractor drivers, stuff like that. And particularly some of the older guys and guys in supervisor positions. And if you're somebody who's like real switched on to wine, and you'll find some friends in the winery that'll love you, and they'll be like, yeah, promote that guy. He knows what I want, you know. Exactly. He likes wine, and you know, so yeah, there's, I guess, more jobs and stuff, but I guess it's not our calling. I don't know, unless you're planning on going back. You going back? You're going to become a vineyard manager?
No, but I think like everyone dreams. I'd be happy if I had a little bit of viticulture work to do, and then pop into the winery, do a bit of work. I think that would be the dream one day. Yeah. Bit of a combo of the both. I'd quite enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to go out into the vineyard now and check on the fellas and see what's happening and walk through. And but no, I did like the work, but eventually leaf plucking and stuff like that. Your back
it gets
just
a bit monotonous.
But yeah, for a day or two, for nostalgia, you know. All right, guys, I'm gonna go back in the lab.
Yep.
You know? Do some tests.
Although I did quite like mowing the lawns, hopping on the mower and just
I do
listen
that.
to the air conditioned cab.
Yeah. But it is also like, because it looks nice, you're kind of out there, you have fresh air, the blue skies, the sun, all that. And then you look behind you and you're like, oh, it looks pretty good. Like I did something good today. It's like immediate reward, you know? I mean, it's like, you know, some days like you're in the winery and you clean a tank, you're like, tank looks sweet. I did something, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you feel like you did something. And whereas I think you could get into, I don't know, a chief winemaker role for XYZ giant winery, and you'd be basically an accountant and doing a lot of paperwork, and you're like, what did I do today to actually do anything?
I couldn't do that, and drive me nuts.
And I don't envy those guys or girls that have those jobs and have to be you know, almost administrators and deal with a lot of crap like that.
Yeah, it's taking you away from your actual winemaking.
But mowing the lawns is sweet. I know exactly what you're saying.
That's quite enjoyable.
I've been doing that since I was a kid. I'm like, I'll mow the lawn. Yeah. Make like a nice pattern, in the ground. And, absolutely. So we skipped over something. Somewhere along the way, you met a fantastic artist who has their artwork on your labels, which
I forgot about
no matter who I've seen, who I've shown those labels to, they've always liked them. Even from a distance, up close, whatever, they're like, those are pretty. So, who is who and where did you meet this artist?
Angela. Well, Angela's become. I mean, she's one of many of my good friends now from Napa. So, I met her through. It was actually one of the barrel salesmen over there, Byard Fox.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
I met him here.
Exactly.
He came to my tasting at the Common Room.
Yeah. Byard's a good guy. He's got his
awesome name.
Yeah. He's got his own label.
We poured us some. Yeah, he brought some of those wines to pair
and he's
too.
very much sort of Roussanne, Viognier, Syrah.
I like those wines.
Yeah, really cool guy. And so him and his wife Sharon, she designs labels for people. So they're both very much sort of in the industry. So I sort of met them at various parties, and they heard I was trying to find a place out of the trailer, looking for somewhere a bit more permanent, a bit more upmarket.
Moving up in the world.
And they said, hey, we've got a very good friend of ours. She's an artist, and she rents out a room and a very cool house. And they said, why don't you go around and meet her? And sort of went from there. And I went round, and she was pretty crazy. When I first met her, she just talks 10 times to the dozen, but very cool house. Like you walk in, and it's just sort of, it's an artist's house, and there's just artwork everywhere, and the kitchen was I hate to say it, Angela, but a bomb site. She's an artist, so she's all over the show. But amazing garden, like you would not believe that she just obviously spends hours in the garden, and you sort of got I think there's a fruit tree of every kind you can imagine, and all the vegetables, and it was just really cool, and she was a very good cook, creative cook, and I loved cooking too, so I think we had many nights, just cooking and drinking wine and chatting about life, and and I mean her artwork. I mean, she's an incredibly talented artist. She trained over in Europe and sort of came back home, went back to the States, and her family's originally from the States. But she's even done work for Donald Trump. So
wow.
Yeah, so that's her claim to fame. But she's. I always sort of said that there's a piece of artwork that sat in her living room. And it was called Argent, which means of the colour silver. And I really liked it, and I always said if I had my own art or my own label one day that I'd love to. Be really cool to use her artwork.
I mean, that's something that's said, like, and I know it's not like the revolutionary idea, but her artwork works. I wouldn't have thought it works really well. On a label, there's something about the tones that she uses, and just this feel, and it's kind of, you don't know exactly what it is. You'd have to check out the collaboration bottles for you guys out there listening to understand what I'm talking about, but they're not, it's not like a picture of something. It's these tones and images, and it's just a feel to what it is. So
exactly, and it's just really highly creative, and that's what I liked about it. And I think it sort of resonated with me. It's sort of that creative side, and I suppose that creative side of winemaking too, where.
Well, there's something about and it's happening right now. There's something I can't put my finger on to describe it, or there's something of the unknown there. There's something with that artwork that, in a way, makes me feel like about winemaking is
there's a connection.
There's a technical side to it. There's definitely things that you have to do, but there's that sort of the bit of mystery and unknown, that goes into what makes certain wines special, and certain wines just formula and fine, and they taste fine, but and I find that with the artwork and with your wines too. Great wines, Jules. You know,
Thanks,
I like
Dan.
every wine I've ever had from you. So, starting with your lovely Chardonnay, which I've drank many times.
Yes.
But yeah, I think there's that. So it's very well chosen to put on a label because, I mean, let's be honest, you could really fuck that up. Like, you could be like, you're a great artist, and then they bring you something, and you're like,
hang on a
put
minute.
that on a label.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? We've all seen the bad ones, you know. So well done, you know. Good.
Thanks.
And it must be really cool to have sat there with a few glasses of wine and look up on the wall and go, if I'm ever going to make it, the wine that's going to use that, and then you actually fucking did it, Jules.
I know.
That's what's great about it.
It is actually pretty damn cool because you sort of
really...
look back and go, holy shit, and look where I am now, and started this thing, and it all started with an idea, and now it's like, wow, my wines are in some pretty damn top restaurants and getting good reviews, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
But yeah, so you're talk quickly about which wines you make and
Yep.
So
I started with my first wine was the Cabernet. So that comes under the Argent label, which I decided, well, my first love and a variety that I've worked with a lot over the years is Cabernet Sauvignon, and so I decided.
And there's not a heck of a lot of 100% cabs around, so...
Yeah, it was a point of difference.
And it's not easy to do around here, so that's...
and cool climate Cabernet, and I think it's always
I'm having a little technical difficulty here.
That's right.
Just don't want to run out of power on us. There we go. Sorry, so...
Cabernet.
Is that something that... You knew you had to know, all right, well, I've got to be pretty meticulous.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
right from the
for those people that don't know out there, Hawke's Bay years ago had not the greatest reputation for Cabernet.
Yep.
It's come right now. We've got some awesome blends out there, and there's a few people doing some 100% Cabernets. Not every year.
No.
But you can do it every year, I think. I've learned that since I've been here. I've had some Cabernets from 11 and 12 that were as challenging a vintage as I can imagine for reds particularly, and there's some good ones out there. So
there are. But I think and the viticulture's come a long way, and the clones. People are starting to get the clones right and planting it in the right place. It's always a good start.
You know, yeah.
So challenge, but I was like, I'm gonna give it a go.
I guess if you're gonna do something bold like that, just go for. And you wanted to do something different, and you said, well, let's do it. Especially if you're going to start off on a small scale and say, let's just make a great wine, and so 100% Cabernet, awesome. And that was what was the first vintage of
2010.
2010. So great Cabernet year.
Yep.
To start with.
Yep, it was pretty solid. It was slightly cooler, I do have to say.
Silkier year, we would say.
Silkier. I like that,
Not as intense as 09.
Correct.
Or 13, obviously. But I like the Cabernets out of 10 and the blends.
Yeah, they're quite elegant.
Very elegant.
Yeah.
And Chardonnay you did almost right away, right?
No, so I put the cab down because I knew I was going to put that to barrel for a couple of years. And then because I wanted the two wines to come out together. So I did the Chardonnay the following year, and that was a year in barrel, so they both came out together at the same time. So that was 2011, and that was called Orient, which means of the colour gold. So Argent silver, and that's the Cabernet. And Angela painted that painting especially for the Chardonnay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so...
That's well done, once again.
I pretty much just said, paint Chardonnay, this is what it's going to taste like. And I said, go for it, Angela. And,
Sounds like she's the type of person to take a challenge like that.
Oh, yeah. Know? No, definitely, yeah.
No, it's just funny, though, as you're saying this, I'm, like, thinking about not necessarily my business partners, but, like, you know, people who want to start a business, and we're talking like, well... First wine I made, I figured I'm not going to sell for 2 years. It's like, and you're like, what? You know, you realize like the time and and capital and things that, and investment and patience more than anything that you have to be. Even just like say, hey, I've got a few extra bucks. I'm going to make this wine. It's not a lot. I don't have tons of money, but put this away. You're proud of what you do. You've made the ferment, you put it in the barrel. It's like so long down the road before you can actually pour it
in
for
front
somebody
of people.
and start seeing, forget about even the rewards of the money coming back to sell a bottle or sell a case.
That doesn't actually even come into it. Until later down the track, and then you realise.
But it's just the idea of like that investment in time and patience.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's something that's really tough for people to get their heads around. They're like, what? How long? Yeah. And I think what we do at that is almost one of the things that, particularly with, I would even say with white wines, because, there's a lot of, like your Chardonnay gets better in bottle and everything like that. And it's sort of what ties us to this history of wine and winemaking and how long they've been doing it. It's the idea that, somebody might open a bottle of your wine 50 years from now, and it might be lost somewhere, and they can still drink it.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I want that to happen.
Yeah. You want it to be drank, or you want it to be drinkable?
Drinkable. Oh yeah, exactly. Drinkable in 50 years. That'd be great.
Yeah. We found an old. On my last trip back to the States, I found an old. I guess it was a Magnum, which I'd never seen before, a Magnum of those old Chianti bottles, with the wicker. Found one in my grandfather's basement. My brother was taking over the house from my grandparents who passed away, and we were like, oh, my brother's like, we drink this bottle when we all get back together. I looked at it, it was 1978, cheap Chianti. He's like, what are we going to pair it with? And I was like, penicillin? I don't know about this one, Jim, but I think we're going to try to open it this Christmas. And
you never know. You might be pleasantly surprised.
That's the thing about it, that I like have this glimmer of hope because it's happened before.
Yeah.
Where you open up something and you're like, that's fucking pretty good.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
It makes you get excited. Yeah. You're just like, that's pretty cool.
I just get the feeling it wasn't built to last, though.
No.
Good old Dago Red, Probably never saw a barrel or anything like that. But anyway, so you Chardonnay, Cabernet, and you do a blend?
Yeah, so for the years when Cabernet is a bit more challenging, that's where the impression red comes into play. And
you try to score some Merlot from somebody?
Yeah, no, so I've got Cabernet. It's a Cabernet Merlot blend, but going forward in the next few years, it'll be Cabernet Merlot Franc.
Oh, that's great.
And that's because I've now brought out another top-end wine called Ceresia. So Angela's just done a new painting for that, which is really cool too. It's probably actually one of my favourites, that painting. Have you seen it yet?
I don't think so, no.
Purples and pinks and more cerise colours, I should say.
So what varietal is that?
Merlot and Cabernet Franc.
Oh, okay. That'll be that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then the impression red will give me the ability to, in the more challenging years, sort of,
take a step back into that and then have the special years for that.
Yeah, the premiums,
That's good.
Yeah.
So what are you pouring on Friday night? Probably people aren't going to listen to this. I'll say now, I'm not going to have this up by Friday night.
No.
So.
It'll be the Cab.
You're pouring the Cab?
Cab and the Ceresia.
So the new one?
The new one, yeah.
Oh, exciting.
The Cab Franc, yep.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, should be a good time.
Yeah, it should be a good night. Yeah, yeah.
So, plugs. That means collaboration.co.nz. What's your website?
Yeah. collaborationwines.co.nz. And I'm on Facebook. I dipple in the Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm not really a Twitterer.
Yeah, that's all right. People can reach out to you and stuff. So that's at
Collab Wines.
At Collab Wines. Yeah.
And pretty much it.
Onwards and upwards.
It is.
I still want to sit down with you and Rich sometime and see if we can get some old stories out of you guys. But we'll wait till I do my world tour of podcasting.
Oh yeah, there we go.
And we'll come back. I'm sorry, he's at the Spiegelau tasting now, so he can't be with us. But no. But very cool. And thanks for doing this. And yeah, we'll be good to check in again with you in even just a year or two's time and see
if we're still out there. And
no, you'll be out there.
We'll be out there.
But it's just going to be interesting to see how this all develops. Even just like what's going on in Hawke's Bay right now, what we were referring to either earlier with, this kind of emerging little scene that we're trying to get together with. And who knows?
Very cool talking to you, Dan. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Talk soon. How about that? So, end of that interview there, and realized there's a bunch of stuff I didn't know about Jules, and that break in the middle there where she kind of burnt out was something I can totally relate to, and I think a lot of winemakers out there can, and probably a lot of people in a lot of different jobs can appreciate. But it sounded like to me, if you take the whole thing in, that break is really what changed things for Jules, and probably a big reason why she decided to start making some of her own wines. I think she sort of mentioned that, and really reevaluate things. So taking a step back is not the worst thing in the world, and taking a break and walking away. And pretty cool interview. Very happy to talk to Jules. I want to thank her again for doing that interview. And I'm sure we'll be doing some events together again. We've just finished a great one on last Friday night at a place called Little Blackbird in Hastings. We're doing a lot of little local stuff here in Hawke's Bay. There's a really neat emerging scene of youngish winemakers, but certainly the next generation of winemakers here in Hawke's Bay. There's a couple cool microbrewers. There's a buddy of ours who does cider. It's actually James Ostergren, who is on an old podcast, and probably be good to sit down with James again and see what he's up to, because he's making some good cider. So maybe we'll get that one in the future. But anyway, Jules is part of this. We've sort of been called the New Guard, the interesting little group of ours that have been meeting up and doing events and doing our own little tasting. So it's been fun, and it was good to talk to Jules, and we'll be in touch again. Check out decibelwines.com and, of course, dbpodcast.com for all the interviews. I'll be posting up previous interviews. We're just going to clean them up a bit, maybe put a little production to them, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to put up the archive, and they're all always up there for free. Anytime you want to send an email, you can always send it to decibeldispatch@gmail.com. And thanks again for listening. Jullianne Brogden, winemaker for Collaboration Wines. Enjoy.